On your table, you see this envelope on the table, and there are pins. And this is for if anyone wants to give a donation to Right to Life, or if you want to become a member. There's a card in here that you can check. So you can get that prepared, and there's baskets on the ends of the table, on the outside ends. Once you're finished, you can pass that. You can wait till closer to the end if you want. Pass that to the middle, and there'll be people to pick up those baskets. So, and I think, are you ready to go out there? Or are you still ready? Oh, okay. At this time, I'd like to introduce Yolanda Taylor. She's the director of the Pregnancy Care Center. And I just told her she's got an update of kind of some things that's going on, and then a prayer for closing the abortion center. So.
Good evening. I want to just thank, I know there are a lot of people who are sitting in here that give to the Pregnancy Care Center. And I want to say thank you for that, because what you're doing in giving to the Pregnancy Care Center has helped us proceed down the road of becoming a medical facility. We're not there yet, but an update that I have is Dr. Dahl is our medical director, so we do have a medical director. And I have two nurses. Candace Crawford is our clinic nurse manager, and Teresa Wilburn is a volunteer nurse at this time. And so the three of us are going to Naples, Florida this next week to do some training, and those ladies are going to learn how to do ultrasound. So we are moving down that road. We're still looking for a facility to house the Pregnancy Care Center. And I wanted to let you know, too, that our client visits are up this year by 20% over last year. So we are seeing 20% more clients this year. And we have had 92 new clients this year up to the end of August. So we're keeping track of the new clients that we have as well. So and also one of the things that we're in the process of doing is we are a Save One chapter, which Sheila's going to talk about that here in a little bit, but we are going to offer the materials and the ministry of Save One to those that are hurting in our communities who have suffered from an abortion. So God is He's so good, and He's moving so much and so fast, and so my heart breaks over the number that was stated tonight, because I had a gal call yesterday wanting to know how much we charge for an abortion. And I told her we don't refer for abortions, and we don't do abortions. So what you all are doing to support the Pregnancy Care Center is going to help us move more toward being able to allow these women to see their babies when they do want to come in. So with that, if you will pray with me, we'll ask the Father to help us by closing Planned Parenthood. Father, we just love you, and we thank you for who you are. We thank you, God, that you are the author of life, that all life is created for a purpose by you, and that every person has a purpose in which you put them together in their mother's womb. Father, I just ask in the name of Jesus that you would move to close these centers, these Planned Parenthood centers, these centers that end the life that you created for a purpose. Father, I know that the one in Bloomington just sits right next door to a pregnancy medical clinic. I pray that the women who would go to the Planned Parenthood clinic would never darken that door. I pray that that one would be shut down, Father, just like they have all over Indiana, where a pregnancy medical clinic is nearby, where Planned Parenthood has even referred their clients to these medical clinics, and thus they've been closed. So, Father, I ask in the mighty name of Jesus that you would do this. I just ask, God, that we would have our hearts open and ready, Father, to receive these women, and that we would love on them, and we would love on the daddies too, and that we would show them that there's a purpose for the life that you have created inside them. And so I just pray that we would be ready, we would stand ready to minister to them, Father, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Yolanda. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the head honcho, keeps us all in line. And without him, I don't know what we do. Sometimes we don't know what we're going to do with him, but we know we can't live without him. So at this time, Mr. Louis Cavanaugh.
Thank you, Beth. On behalf of the Right to Life people, we want to thank everybody for coming for this evening. I say this several times, you make our day, because there's a lot of hard work that goes into this, and a lot of the people that's put their heart and soul into the pro-life movement. Sometimes we get, you might say there's a lot of things thrown our way that maybe is just, some unjust, but we do the best we can. So I do want to take this opportunity to thank the individuals who helped us in a way. You see the Banquet books on the table. For those individuals that helped us sell the ads, Sharon, Phyllis, Mickey, I'm leaving somebody out, Pastor Shires, all those that helped us, we greatly appreciate it, and all the sponsors that put ads in there. And I'm not sure whether we'll be able to continue with this or not. We'll see, because it's a lot of work, and us old timers are getting tired. So, but we'll do our best. Thanks again for all the people that sold tickets tonight. I want to point out one individual, Dolores Paget, who sold tickets for many years. She's not able to be with us here tonight. She's recuperating, and we do wish her the very best. Also, Byron Overton, who sells a tremendous amount of tickets every year for me. Thank you, Byron. We appreciate it. And just an overall thank you for the people that set up the firehouse, the lighthouse, to help us set up the tables and tear them down. Of course, after this is over tonight, we'll need your help again. And anybody that can stay that wants to help us out, why, please do so. So, at this time, I'd like to recognize the elected officials that are here. First of all, from the Daviess County Sheriff, Jerry Hartstrack is here. If you just all stand and just remain standing, Elaine Wellman, the Treasurer, Daviess County, Prosecutor Dan Murray, the Assessor Dennis Eaton, the Clerk Janice Williams, and the Judge of Circuit Court Greg Smith from Daviess County. We thank you. Also from the Daviess County Council, Joanne McCracken is also here. Joanne? Thank you. Our state representatives here tonight, from District 62, Jeff Ellington. Jeff? District 63, Mike Braun. Who's also a candidate for U.S. Senate here in Indiana. For our state senators, Eric Basler, who was here, but his daughters are playing at Ferdinand in the soccer. He was here and had to leave, so we appreciate Eric. Also, Kim Messmer, I think, is representing her husband, Mark Messmer, tonight here. Kim. Also, county offices, for announced candidates for Sheriff of Daviess County, Gary Allison, Gary. Also announced candidate for Daviess County Sheriff, Troy Foos. Congressman Larry Deshawn's representative here tonight, Larry Oden. Larry? Representing Congressman Todd Rokita, who's also a candidate for U.S. Senate, Mark Warner. Okay. At this time, we'd like to have the adoptive family come forward, the Callahan family. Each year, Daviess County, you notice that on the front cover of our banquet book is the picture of little Hezekiah Callahan. And on the back is a picture, the family picture here. The Right to Life tries to stress adoption, not abortion. It's something that we've tried to do, maybe successful, maybe not, but each family has a unique story to tell, and I think they both have agreed that they will talk about it, how the adoption came about, and I'll turn on this mic here, and hopefully we won't have feedback. Roger? Are we on? Okay, it's on now. Okay, Roger, I'll turn it over to you and let you tell the story. If Adrian wants to interject anything, you're on.
Hey, thanks, Louis. Louis said, I'm Robert Callahan. This is my wife, Adrian. And hey, buddy. I'm thrilled to be invited to this event and be a part of it and share with you our adoption story. Really, our adoption story is just really a subtitle and the main theme of a young girl in northern Indiana named Lexi that chose life. And she was 16 years old. She became pregnant and she was confused and didn't know what to do and was worried about how she was going to raise her child. But she chose life, and then she set things in motion to basically establish him for his life and made the sacrifice of offering him for adoption. So that's the main theme of the story. But we'll tell you a little bit about how we were involved. So after Adrian and I were married for a couple of years, we decided we wanted to try to start a family. After kind of the months turned into a year of not becoming pregnant, we were diagnosed with some fertility issues. So that was a big hit to us. We were devastated by that. But we were prayerful about it because at that point we could just continue trying to naturally have a child, or there were some fertility treatments that we could do, or we could explore adoption. So we decided to give that a shot, even though we were kind of funny thinking about it now, but we were very apprehensive, had reservations about adoption. But so we started exploring the topic, and gosh, where do you start? In college, I went to college out of state, and I was fortunate to have one of my college friends live nearby, so I spent a lot of time with his family at their home. And he had a sister that was in college, and she had an unplanned pregnancy in college. And it was kind of taboo in that household. They didn't talk a whole lot about it, but she did choose life, and she placed her child up for adoption. So remembering that, 11 years later, I called Bridget was her name, and asked her how she went about placing her child for adoption and where she did that, and if she had told her about our situation, if she had any advice. And she introduced us to Bethany Christian Services. That's who she used to place her child for adoption. And she talked about the great care that they gave her and and the family that they paired her with, and just the peace she had throughout that whole process. So we were introduced to Bethany. Bethany is a global organization their goal is to bring and keep families together, and they also strengthen families with the well-being of the child as their top priority. They do so through foster care, pregnancy services, or pregnancy counseling, and adoption services. So we looked up the local Bethany office. There's several of them across the country. There's one in Indianapolis. So we called them up, and they have introductory meetings for families like ours that are interested in exploring adoption. So we went up there in November 2012 to learn more about adoption, and we walked out of there that evening knowing that that's what we were going to do. We had a desire to parent, and that night we learned about the tremendous need that was in our nation for basically families to offer, I guess, a safety net for women that become pregnant and confused about what to do. So that's how we were introduced to Bethany, and I'll take over watching him for a little bit, and Adrian will continue that.
So yes, we chose Bethany Christian Services for our infant adoption. And if anybody has been through the adoption process, you will know there's extensive paperwork that goes into an adoption. It is exhausting. Roger lived in 12 different counties, so he had to have 12 different background checks done. And so collecting all of that information, it just was daunting. But luckily he is very organized, and we had an adoption binder, and we filled it. So that's how we were able to go through our adoption. And once we submitted all the paperwork, and we went what we call live, and that was when our profile was active with Bethany. And our profile consisted of a pamphlet, like a booklet, talking about us. Basically, it was like our resume. And what Bethany does, they provide this pamphlet to expectant mothers and just show them these people, and the mothers select us. I had no idea when we started this process that that's how it happened. I thought maybe we'd get some pictures of some children and pick one. I really had no idea. And so I was really encouraged. We were both encouraged by the fact that this birth mom, our birth mom, Miss Lexi, she chose us for a reason. Her dad happened to be in the Navy. Roger was in the Navy. Lexi's about this tall with brown hair, brown eyes. I have brown hair, brown eyes. We do favor each other in that regard. So once we went live and they presented our profile, it was about 2 weeks before we got a call saying that a birth mom wanted to meet us. And we were in shock. We were like, this is happening quickly. Well, oh my gracious, what are we going to do? So we had a meeting and met with Lexi, and one of our main fears was the birth mom. What's she going to be like? What's she going to think of us? Is she going to be overly involved? Is she going to want to know every move we make? What if she doesn't like us? And God just brought that peace in our hearts as soon as we met Miss Lexi. She was only 16 when we met her, and she is just a part of our lives. We still have a relationship with her. With Bethany, they encourage an open adoption, and that's what we have with Lexi. I'll send her text messages. We get to visit with her maybe once, twice a year, and she's just a blessing to us. So I encourage any family or anyone who is contemplating adoption, give it to the Lord, and He will provide a family and a birth mom that needs your love and attention, just like Hez and his family, his birth family does. So with that, now we have gone live again with our profile with Bethany, and we're patiently waiting to have another child brought into our lives. And this time it's a little bit different. We've been live since April, and so we're just patiently waiting. And Hezekiah told one of his teachers at school the other day, he's like, God's going going to bring us the baby into our family. He's just waiting, but he's going to bring us the baby. And I was like, bless your heart, buddy. He is, and he's waiting for just the right family that needs us, and we need them just as much as they need us. And so I am so thankful. We are so thankful to be here this evening. And if you have any questions about our adoption story, or how to reach out to Bethany, or any questions at all, we'll be more than happy to talk about it with you guys. It's part of us. We are the Callahans, and we're thankful to be here. Got anything else?
Yeah, so that was our short and sweet story. I'd like to just close up with just a few words. So now I'm kind of embarrassed to say that before our adoption process, I guess the moral crisis prevalent in our society of abortion just wasn't really an issue that I thought much about. And kind of funny how things work. When it was probably a few months after we had adopted Hezekiah and gone through the whole process, I was driving in my car, and there was a little radio blurb that came on, and it was talking about a CDC report from the Center for Disease Control, a surveillance that they had done, national surveillance, and they had different states or cities had reported birth and abortion statistics to them. And so, of the people that they collected information from in 2013, there was, I believe, don't quote me on the numbers, but you can look it up in the report, 660,000 abortions that year. And that wasn't representative of all the abortions in the U.S., but just the sample population they had. And that just kind of normalized it, that they said that there was, for every live birth, there was one abortion. And then the study also mentioned in the city of New York, there were 69,000 abortions in 2013. And so basically for every 2 live births in New York in 2013, there was an abortion. I mean, that really floored me right then, because I was thinking, it just had a baby boy, and it very easily could have been one of those numbers. We're thankful that that young girl, Lexi, chose life. And thankful for organizations like this that basically advocate pro-life and put that awareness out there, and that education, and advocate for legislation that supports pro-life. And we're thankful for organizations you support, like Bethany, that basically establish the mechanism for that safety net for pregnant mothers that are struggling with their decision about whether to have their child or not. Basically, put together a structure that has families like Adrian and myself, ready to accept and love their child, so they have no reservations in bringing them into the world. So, kind of ended that on a somber note, but that's our story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you guys, for sharing this. The centerpiece on that paper, we give that to you, to the adopted family, for sharing the story. We appreciate it. And I think Bethany Christian Services, Yolanda, that's what you guys work through as well. They're the Pregnancy Care Center. So again, we thank you. We wish you the very best of luck on the new adoption, whenever that may be. And again, thank you very much for sharing your story. Thank you. At this time, I'd like for Joe Spahn and his wife to come forward. Joe, you would come up. I'll meet you down in front of the stage. Each year, the pro-life movement gives a special award to individuals who we feel have shown beyond the call of duty. Joe has, I know he don't like to put this out, and I get in trouble when I say that he donated this and donated that, but Joe has made all the plaques for donated for the last several years. I don't know how many years it's been. He also, for the KFC, he donates plaques for the Pregnancy Care Center, for I think Legion of Mary and different organizations. And Joe was in this wheelchair, I think you were 25 years old when you had an accident, 32. When you had an accident, motorcycle accident. And Joe has always been a happy face, always encouragement to me and to the organization. And I know, Carol, you've been right there, right-hand man. So driving the van wherever you needed to go, and we thought it would be good to do this plaque. And you probably wondered why we didn't have a pro-life plaque this year. You did. Well, I tell you, yeah, I thought you lost your customer. Well, when the individual, I was shopping around trying to find a place to do this plaque, and the individual found out it was going to be for you, so he donated it. And I mean, he has local connection. It's a local connection, but it's somebody away from here that done it. But 2017 special award presented to Joe Spahn in recognition and appreciation for his humanitarian efforts, his kindness, his willingness to preserve in spite of great personal hardship, from your friends in the pro-life movement. Presented to the Right to Life Banquet, October 2017. Congratulations, Joe Spahn, and also to Carol. You don't want to say anything. Well, he says he's got a good partner, and I think so too. If I knew your name, Karen. Should have called him Carol.
He's been 45 years he's been in a wheelchair. He was 32 when he got hurt, and I was 30, and we had 3 little kids, 1, 3, 7, and 11. And my oldest daughter is here now. The other 2 couldn't make it.
Well, we congratulate you, and I think one thing too that, as I mentioned, there's always, Joe has never complained about the situation he's been in, and always put on that happy face. And there's not too many of us that can maybe change places with you and do what you've done. So she's not going to trade you in. Well, congratulations to both of you. We appreciate it, and keep on doing what you're doing.
The good Lord has blessed us with all of these 57 years, and with a lot of friends and prayers is what brought us through all of this. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations, both of you guys. I'll have to look what's on the schedule next, but I think we're pleased to have the state president of the Indiana Right to Life living in Daviess County now. And Mike Victor, who I'm not sure, lived in Evansville, went to Indianapolis, now living in Daviess County because his kids are in Evansville and he works in Indianapolis. But a lot of times you hear from people who says, oh, Right to Life, they got friends in high places, but they're not doing anything. I'd like to call on Mike to let people know exactly what has happened in the last 9 months. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Louie. Yeah, I just wanted to share real quickly just a few things. First, I know this is handed in. Congressman Bouchon sends his greetings this evening, and just congratulate you for being here. This is just, really, I do a lot of banquets around the entire state, and honestly, I've said this before, this is something really special. Daviess County Right to Life Dinner is really incredible gathering. So thanks to all of you for coming. Last year I spoke, and I stressed the importance of a major election cycle that we were heading into at that time. And I just want to just take 2 minutes and just share with you some of the progress that's been made since you gathered last time. So I think it's really important to look at progress that is being made and be encouraged by it. So, of course, we know we have a new president of the United States, and a lot of questions might be, well, what changes have we actually seen since President Trump has come into office? Well, I believe it was his first day of office. The president reinstated the Mexico City policy, which keeps abortion funding from flowing overseas. So a critical executive order that he issued right away. He's also issued an executive order giving greater defense to religious liberty, which is very important to groups that had opposition to some of the Obamacare mandates that had been put into place. And you heard the Hobby Lobby ruling and a lot of other stuff like that. The president then did sign an executive order affirming the religious liberty. The president also signed an executive order that allowed states within their budgetary cycles to defund Planned Parenthood. Now, it doesn't apply to Indiana, and there's some specific reasons why. It's detailed, I'm not going to get into that tonight. But for all states who fund in a certain way, President Trump has signed an executive order, I think this was back in springtime, granting them the ability to defund Planned Parenthood in those individual states. And of course, the crown jewel so far of the Trump administration is the confirmation of Neil Gorsuch to the United States Supreme Court. And we do not know how Neil Gorsuch is going to rule on the bench. But we have all indications that he's going to be a great conservative justice on the Supreme Court. That was this president's first pick. If the president gets an opportunity to fill one of the progressive liberal seats that possibly will be vacated in the next 3 years, then that's going to be World War III in the political world when that happens. But I have full confidence the president will put another conservative justice on that court. And incidentally, in Indiana time, the president has nominated, and we're awaiting her confirmation, Amy Barrett is a law professor for the University of Notre Dame. She's been nominated for the U.S. 7th Circuit, and we believe she'll be a very positive addition to that court that will actually hear some of the appeals probably that are coming out of Indiana. We have 3-4 cases actually that are already percolating out of Indiana. But in my personal opinion, the greatest thing that President Trump has done for the United States is to pick a rock-ribbed, pro-life vice president to serve with him throughout the country. I just want to share this with you really quick. I had an opportunity to be with the Vice President and the Second Lady of the United States in January. And the Second Lady confirmed with me, and many of you know the story. In fact, I think, was not Mike Pence a keynote speaker at this event like years ago? I think he was maybe. But the Second Lady of this function reminded me that the entire reason that the Pence family got into the political arena to start with was the issue of life. And some of you may know this. When he was first elected to Congress, the evening he was elected, he and Karen sat down with their kids, and they took out a children's book on fetal development and said, this is why Daddy's going to Congress. So we have a great Vice President and Second Lady of this country. Now, you might ask, what about Indiana? We have a new governor with Eric Holcomb. And I'm pleased to report that Eric Holcomb was able to sign his first pro-life bill. We got it to his desk back in May, I think it was. And Representative Ellington and Ron and Senator Messmer, Senator Basler, were all supporters of that legislation. That legislation gives greater parental rights in the state of Indiana when a minor daughter's planning to have an abortion. It did a lot of things. We packed a lot of stuff into bills, but only a few of them kind of surfaced to get media coverage. I think there were a dozen provisions in that bill. But there was also a very important provision in that bill that gives greater protection and resources to women who are being victims of sex trafficking and being coerced into abortions. this bill addressed that in the state of Indiana. It also requires abortion reporting on girls under 16. Previously, it had been only under 14. This moved it to under 16. That's a very critical movement as well regarding child abuse in the state of Indiana. And Governor Holcomb's administration is also renewing the state's commitment to the Real Alternatives program that brings over $2 million per year to pro-life centers across the state that are helping women meet their needs. It doesn't cost a dime for anyone to get the services. And what's really ultra cool about it is the Real Alternatives program meets needs during the 9 months of pregnancy and up to 1 year beyond till baby's first birthday. And that's critical because mom gets all types of positive life counseling, job skills, and other things that's important, and including things like just teaching proper prenatal care. A lot of these young women are coming out of homes where they did not have any type of role model to even tell them about proper prenatal care and immunizations and the importance of all of that. So Governor Holcomb is fully committed to that. I was blessed to have coffee with the governor on Friday, and he just reaffirmed his commitment to life. When I mentioned I was going to be in Daviess County, he got a smile on his face. He has a fond place in his heart for this area of Indiana, as you all know. So I'm going to leave you with this. All of that aside, the biggest news that I can share with you is that Indiana has just experienced its 8th consecutive year of drop in the abortion numbers. And what that really means, when you boil it down, and we talked numbers already this evening, the heartbreaking numbers, and those need to stagger us, and they need to grip us, but we also need to be encouraged and also look at where we see positive things happening. And in Indiana, in 2016, there were 3,642 fewer children aborted than 2008. That's how drastic the drop has been in Indiana. So, thanks for
At this time, I'm going to do the appeal. I know, John, it says that Pastor Shire is going to do it. He was not able to be here tonight, so he's under the weather. Slide for the appeal. A little bit about the Daviess County Right to Life, the organization Right to Life. We work together with Martin and Pike County as well. We are an organization united for a sacred cause of protecting the sanctity of human life from the moment of conception to the moment of death. The task before us states, since 1973, 60 million babies have been aborted. 1.5 times the total population of Canada, 9 million more than everyone living in Canada and New England. Since 1980, 1.47 billion babies have been aborted, equal to the total population of China. It is 360 million more people than presently live in all America's North, Central, and South. What are we doing? Voter guides, pro-life signs, and wonder how people receive these. I'll tell you, we received this note from a young girl. It says, I was pregnant and at the time was considering an abortion, but seeing these signs triggered something in my mind, something I had never thought of before. It caused me to change my mind and choose to keep my unborn child. Informative newsletters we send out. Provide information from the pro-life development and legislation via emails, letters, radio ads, newspaper, and fair booths. Informative website. Pastor Shires, who's done that for me, I've worked with him in developing several websites for a church, the local Rotary Club in Montgomery. Protest and pray. I'm not sure I really want to call it that. Is that several of these people, and I wonder at this time, how many people in this room go to the abortion clinic, either Louisville, Owensboro, Bloomington? Please stand. The people that go to these, don't be afraid, stand up. I thank you very much for doing that, because they not only go, and people do change their minds. And so it's not necessarily protest, but it's pray and try to change their hearts. Contribute financially to the Pregnancy Care Center. That's something we do. And Your financial support can be in either a one-time contribution, monthly donation, occasional donation, volunteer service, serve on the board, work at paper drives or man a booth or prepare mailings to go out, contract sponsors for book ads, offer land for the sign-up. After our last newsletter, I had 3 requests to put up signs like I have in my front yard. And I told them, I says, let's wait till after we get the banquet done. Take care of that. Political action. We don't have a political action committee, but we pass the information along, whether it's who's pro-life, who's not pro-life. There's people that say, that's why we depend on Mike Fick with the Indiana Right to Life to tell us who is and who's not. Make your voice heard by your representatives. Stay informed on the latest developments. Personal commitments. Share the importance of the pro-life view with others. Encourage your pastors and churches to take a pro-life stand. And write letters to the editor. Yes, I do that. Encourage and, if possible, enable women to keep the baby and pray. And you know, it's amazing what you can do by just talking to your neighbor or talking to a friend. There's a lot of, some you won't change their minds are made up, but others will. So, on the table, there is a card inside these envelopes. You don't have to do it just now, but you can make out a donation, either check, cash, whatever, put it in there, put your name on it. There's a basket at the end of each table, and at the end, we're going to have you to pass it down. It's not a church collection, but it's similar, because this is one time when we got a lot of people here that were asking for your donation, and it has been, I know, a big help to the Pregnancy Care Center. It's helped us with these signs and just different things that we've done. So, but after our main speaker speaks, then we will pass the baskets down and you can put in your donation. So, do what you can. God bless you for it. Okay, our speaker for this